Good evening, I'm your host Prasad and you're watching Kini News. Is Anwar Ibrahim still relevant? According to a survey, he's not even more likable than Nurul Izzah. More interestingly, it finds that Anwar's popularity is even decreasing among young voters.
Rafizi Ramli's analytics firm has found that more voters felt positive about Nurul Izzah compared to Anwar Ibrahim. The Rafizi Ramli-owned firm based this on the findings of a survey it did between March 1st and April 8th this year. The survey, which was stratified by age, gender, ethnicity, and socio-economic setting, interviewed 1,500 voters who are non-PKR members and another 1,500 PKR members. The survey found that among voters, 28% view Anwar positively, 23% negatively, and 48% have a neutral opinion of the opposition leader. Comparatively, 49% of voters felt positive about Nurul Izzah, 7% negative, and 33% neutral. The survey also found that Anwar's popularity decreased among the younger voters. The survey rationalized that this is likely due to the PKR president's heyday as a youth activist, UMNO minister, and then Reformasi leader growing older and older. However, replacing Anwar has been a very touchy topic. Invoke founder Rafizi warned that if the PKR president were to step down before the 15th general election, it would cause chaos in the opposition. But if the time comes and Anwar does resign, Invoke said Nurul Izzah was a clear candidate to succeed and carry the party forward. Despite her popularity, Nurul Izzah has taken a backseat to leadership in PKR.
Bersatu appears to be losing grip over the DPM post, and even PAS is saying there is no such deal.
PAS says there is no agreement between Perikatan Nasional and Prime Minister Ismail Sabri Yaakob on the appointment of a Deputy Prime Minister. Instead, those who agreed to form a government with Ismail Sabri at the helm had already decided that there will be no position.
Kita masih lagi berpegang kepada awal-awal kita tubuh kerajaan, tak ada timbalan Perdana Menteri. Masih lagi. Pembincangan ada, tapi tak ada keputusan. Kerana kita masih sibuk dengan urusan-urusan rakyat.
Tapi menurut Bersatu, katanya perjanjian PM bersama PM tu adalah untuk pelantikan TPM.
Ya.
Menurut Bersatu,
tak ada janji. Ya.
Hadi said this when met by reporters in Marang, Terengganu today. Apart from PAS, UMNO Information Chief Shahril Hamdan has also denied the existence of such an agreement. Ismail Sabri is the UMNO Vice President. Bersatu Information Chief Wan Saiful Wan Jan had alleged that the agreement existed as part of a best practice in coalition politics. He added that UMNO's former Secretary General Anwar Musa was a witness to the agreement.
Syed Saddiq knows how to use social media to reach his audience, unlike most of the older people we have in Parliament. But perhaps he's too good at it and may want to tone it down, especially when it's regarding his case in court.
Syed Saddiq Syed Abdulrahman has been issued a final warning by the Kuala Lumpur High Court. This is over the Muar MP's third public statement regarding his ongoing 1.2 million ringgit misappropriation case. In response, the former Youth and Sports Minister made an apology directly from the dock during the trial this morning. The court's final warning today was over the accused's online posting yesterday in relation to the authenticity of the testimony of key prosecution witness, former Bersatu Youth Treasurer Rafiq Hakim Razali. Back on January 19, the court advised the accused to be careful with his statements on social media regarding his ongoing trial. Then on July 4th, the court for the second time warned him over his online posting regarding the case. His legal team apologized on his behalf to the court. Today's court warning is the third time in relation to the trial of the 4 charges linked to Syed Saddiq's time as then Bersatu Youth Chief in 2020. The prosecution contended the misappropriation was perpetrated over funds belonging to the ruling party's youth wing. The warnings were issued as the accused's statements over the case could be constituted by the prosecution as alleged contempt of court.
ROS delay on its decision on UMNO's constitutional amendments is likely to cause more political instability, according to a think tank led by a former MCA leader.
A delay in the Registrar of Society's decision on whether to accept UMNO's amendments to its constitution will cause political instability. This is according to the think tank Center for a Better Tomorrow. In a statement, the center's president Gan Ping Siu said without a simple yes or no answer from the ROS, UMNO will not be able to decide on its next course of action judiciously. He said this adds fuel to the political instability that has engulfed the nation for the past couple of years. He also noted that since the present coalition government is currently led by a prime minister from UMNO, it would send the wrong message to Malaysians and investors. Gan said the ROS must expedite its decision, and if the decision was in the negative, then the ROS must justify its reasons for doing so in the spirit of transparency. The current UMNO leadership was elected to serve the 2018 to 2021 term. Last year, the Supreme Council invoked a party rule to extend the term by 18 months until December this year. In May, UMNO held an emergency general meeting to amend its constitution to allow the Supreme Council to delay fresh internal leadership elections until after a general election. MCA, an UMNO ally, had made similar changes to its party constitution in 2019. However, they received the green light from the ROS only in March this year.
Shocking news from Japan. Former Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe has been assassinated.
Japanese former Prime Minister Shinzo Abe has died. This is according to public broadcaster NHK. Abe was delivering a stump speech near a train station in the western city of Nara when he was shot by an assailant. A Reuters report quoting public broadcaster NHK said the man was armed with an apparently homemade gun. Abe was shot from behind. Prime Minister Fumio Kishida condemned the shooting during the campaign for Sunday's upper house election as an unacceptable attack on the foundation of Japan's democracy. Earlier, a hospital official said Abe appeared to be in a state of cardiac arrest when airlifted to the hospital, after having initially been conscious and responsive. Police said a 41-year-old man suspected of carrying out the shooting had been arrested. Meanwhile, Malaysian Prime Minister Ismail Sabri Yaakob expressed shock and condemned the heinous act. He also prayed for the strength of the Japanese people during this difficult time.
Mat Kilau, Malaysia's highest grossing film of all time, has sparked concern among minority groups.
The Malaysian chapter of United Sikhs has expressed concern that the hit film Mat Kilau may cause religious and racial misunderstanding. While expressing appreciation for the film's attempt to portray Malay struggles against British imperialism, United Sikhs said it was regretful that those from other races and religions were portrayed as villains. The group said it believed that this can lead to racial disharmony. It also noted that turban Sikhs, who were British soldiers in the movie, were portrayed to have laid hands on old folks, children, and helpless citizens. However, the group said the Sikh code of practice prohibits laying their hands on old folk, children, women, and helpless citizens even during war. In view of this, United Sikhs urged the Malaysian film industry not to produce other movies at the expense of hurting religious and racial sentiments. United Sikhs is an international non-profit focusing on humanitarian relief, education, human development, and advocacy. It is registered as a charity in several countries. Mat Kilau is directed by Shamsul Yusof on the life of Mat Kilau Imam Rasul, who opposed British rule over Malaya. The film does not claim to be an accurate representation. The film is said to be the highest-grossing film in Malaysian history, with 53 million ringgit collected in 13 days.
Malaysia is all set to send a strong message against smoking, but it will all depend on how our cabinet ministers discuss it next week during their meeting.
The Tobacco and Smoking Control Bill will be brought to the cabinet meeting next week for approval before being tabled in Parliament. Health Minister Khairi Jamaluddin said at the cabinet meeting, ministers would have the opportunity to exchange views and present their arguments. He said this was the first step to convincing the cabinet and winning their support to enable him to table the bill in Parliament. Khairi said if the bill is approved, Malaysia will be the first country in the world to pass it as a law banning smoking and possession of smoking products, including vapes, for those born after 2005. Khairi said this in a press conference after the launch of the Generational Endgame Advocacy Roadshow today. He added that now is the best time to shut the door completely to smoking for young Malaysians, as 97% of youths support the initiative and do not see smoking as a lifestyle to which they aspire.
And that is all from me today. For more stories, you can go to KiniTV.com. You can also follow us on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube and Facebook for the latest news updates. If you'd like to support independent media, do consider subscribing to MalaysiaKini.com. I'm Prasad. Thank you for watching.